So this is why you should not go and restore a Nissan R33 GTR. So when we started this GTR project, we completely dry ice cleaned the underbody with the hopes everything would be fine, but it was not really. It was a UK car, so it was very, very rusty, and the only way to get it somewhere decent was to remove everything. I'm going to take you on a journey of making this GTR like new again. And this is quite a big project. We already started this project before we actually started with YouTube, and we're already quite far in the process. The most work we did until now was finding parts, which was not that easy. About the problems of the project, I will come back later in the video, so stay tuned. This is actually a very special GTR. This is a Nissan R33 GTR V-Spec finished in midnight purple. So actually the holy grail of the R33. And therefore we want to make it as new again. So I'm going to take you on a journey. It will be a video series since it is a very big project and will take us quite some time. So this is the first part and there will be many parts following. So make sure you follow our channel to not miss out of any GTR content.
GTR があることを誇りたい。
So the first problem you come across when you want to restore your old GTR is parts. Parts are very difficult to find, and everything we order has to come from Japan. So that makes it a bit more difficult. The other one is we want to make it stock, and if you want to tune your car, there's unlimited amounts of parts available. You can go completely crazy until 1000 brake horsepower. You can do everything, but we don't want that. We want to make it original as we can, and then we only can choose from original Nissan parts, and if they are not available, then we have to find some used parts and fix them up. And the other problem is the price. Everything is hugely expensive. New parts as also very beaten up used parts. We bought a very old scrappy airbox for the car. It was extremely expensive and we have to fix them up completely. It's just not for sale anymore. I think restoring an old Ferrari is in this case maybe even cheaper. But luckily we now have all the parts from Japan for the suspension. We did not want to do the complete suspension actually, but the car is from the UK and most GTRs that here are in Europe are actually delivered from the UK there. And UK cars are very badly rusted away in most cases, and this case as well. We already received all the parts from Japan, and all the parts that we could refurbish, we actually refurbished, like the subframe, also the bolts that were sandblasted and gold plated or silver plated as well. So all these bits we have refurbished and put back together. So the complete suspension is now back together again and now ready to go underneath the car. So when buying an old GTR, there's some other challenge you maybe come across, That's mostly the maintenance. These cars were quite cheap for quite a long time. You could pick one up for maybe 10,000–15,000 euros. Now those values went up quite heavily, and therefore also the standards of making and fixing things. So for example, this car had some damage in the past in the back, and they just had a dent and they filled it up with filler. We discovered it later on, removed all the filler and repaired it the proper way. And these things you find all over the car, with repairs, with smaller things. These guys mostly did maintenance themselves probably, or some Jeep garage. These were not really valuable cars. Now they are, and they should be maintained in the standards as these valued cars should be. So now the standards are much higher. So we now make the car at the highest level we can. We are now in the process of putting everything back in the engine bay. We also painted the engine bay new in black. That's how it should be. The earlier models were only black. Later on, the engine bays were in the color of the car. And this car is actually also very unique spec, because we actually have here an R33 GTR in midnight purple and in V-Spec. And that's everything you needed back in the day, so the holy grail of the R33 GTR. I actually found an original airbox. We did not have original anymore because somebody put some K&N Racing air filter system on it, which is not original obviously, and I did not want that. I want to make it as original as we can, so I found this online on eBay Kleinanzeigen. There's like a German website, a Craigslist, where you can find a lot of used parts, because it's not really new available. So we have to find all kinds of parts that they removed or that are missing, and it's quite some difficult search sometimes, but we luckily have one. We're missing a few bits still, but I'm very happy with this. It's now just a test fit. We have to clean it up and make it nice again. We just wanted to test if everything fits well, and it does, luckily, so we have the correct one. So now the rest of it. We are also in the process of vapor blasting all the aluminium bits so that they look like new again. I did this part half to show you how it looks like. So this is vapor blasted and this part is not. And it is also feeling very smooth. The only way to remove this is using something abrasive. So dry ice cleaning, you can't get this out. It's really into the metal. Sometimes a gearbox, for example, comes out like this, but that's only when it is waxed and protected. Engine or gearbox look like this. With dry ice cleaning, you can't get it off. The only way is by vapor blasting, so using something abrasive. So then it's the only way to get this part like new. But you can't really do this on suspension parts when it is built in the car. So you have to take everything off, otherwise all the bearings will go bad. So that's the only way to do this, basically. So we're gonna do the rest of it and all the other parts and make this car like new. And by the way, the engine is getting back into the car as well later, because it's now being rebuilt. We're going to completely rebuild the engine. We have also new turbos. Everything will be as perfect as we can, so that we have a brand new car later on. And by the way, for the GTR people, very important to know, we are going to make it stock. So no 1000 brake horsepower, not 600, not 700, just stock. And stock it has 280. And I'm not sure it's really 280. I probably will be more than like 300. But we're gonna do everything to make it as stock as possible. But this engine could easily do 600. Back in the day, they had some kind of rules in Japan that they could not do over 280 brake horsepower. So this car is really heavily detuned, because all the bits can handle a lot more. few people are maybe wondering why we did not paint the car first. Our plan here is to first do the complete underbody. So we painted the complete underbody, put the suspension back on so the chassis is rolling again. That's much easier for the paint guy to roll it out of the paint booth back in and back out, which happens sometimes because you have to do filler and it has to wait a couple of weeks and then you can paint. So it is much easier to have the car as a rolling chassis. So therefore we did that. So we make sure now that it's rolling and now it can actually go to the painter. And we're also now busy with the engine, but that's for the next episode. So if you want to see how we're going to build the engine, make sure you follow us when we're going to build the engine. So this GTR is from late 1995. And this was the first year they built the R33. And before that you had the R32, obviously. And this is the GTR. And the base model you could buy was a GTST. Then you had the RB25 engine, which has a lower power and also not four-wheel drive, if I'm correctly. So the GTR is then the biggest one you could buy, although this was even bigger because this is a V-Spec, and that was the holy grail. You could buy the coolest version. And the GTR is the fastest, has the fastest engine, the RB26, that engine, with around 280 brake horsepower. But the V-Spec had some other goodies, some other suspension, but mainly the most important part has steering at the rear suspension. So at the front we had steering, and also at the back that you normally see now with big trucks or with newer cars, but it was really new back in 1995. So quite special for those years. So the Japanese guys, they did really well back then already. By the way, for the people that sometimes ask me, these were only built with the steering wheel for us on the wrong side, because they only delivered these cars in Japan, UK, and I believe some other country, but these are the two main countries these GTRs were delivered to. So they never came to Europe, and that's also why it is very hard to get parts. So I hope to see you next time. This project will go on and we'll give you an update later on. Thank you for watching and see you next time.